I peered through the gate of the camp and endeavoured to sight my rifle, my little Winchester, in the accuracy of which I had perfect confidence. But, alas for the cartridges! They might have been as well filled with sawdust for all the benefit I derived from them. Disgusted with the miserable ammunition, I left the lions alone, and turned in, with their roaring as a lullaby. That terrestrial paradise for the hunter, the valley of the pellucid Mtambu, was deserted by us the next morning for the settlement commonly known to the Wakawende as Imrima, with as much unconcern as though it were a howling desert. The village near which we encamped was called Itaga, in the district of Rusoa. As soon as we had crossed the river Mtambu we had entered Ukawende, commonly called Kawende by the natives of the country. The district of Rusoa is thickly populated. The people are quiet and well disposed to strangers, though few ever come to this region from afar. One or two Wasawahili traders visit it every year or so from Pumburu and Usowa, but very little ivory being obtained from the people, the long distance between the settlements serves to deter the regular trader from venturing hither. If caravans arrive here, the objective point to them is the district of Pumburu, situated southwesterly 1 day's good marching, or, say, 30 statute miles from Imrima, or they make for Usowa, on the Tanganyika via Pumburu, Katuma, Unyombe, and Ugarwa. Usowa is quite an important district on the Tanganyika, populous and flourishing. This was the road we had intended to adopt after leaving Imrima, but the reports received at the latter place forbade such a venture. For Mapunda, the Sultan of Usowa, though a great friend to the Arab traders, was at war with the colony of the Wazavira, who we must remember were driven from Mpokwa and vicinity in Utunda, and who were said to have settled between Pumburu and Usowa. It remained for us, like wise, prudent men, having charge of a large and valuable expedition on our hands, to decide what to do, and what route to adopt, now that we had approached much nearer to Ujiji than we were at Unyanyembe. I suggested that we should make direct for the Tanganyika by compass, trusting to no road or guide, but to march direct west until we came to the Tanganyika, and then follow the lake shore on foot until we came to Ujiji. For it ever haunted my mind that if Dr. Livingstone should hear of my coming, which he might possibly do if I travelled along any known road, he would leave, and that my search for him would consequently be a stern chase. But my principal men thought it better that we should now boldly turn our faces north, and march for the Malagarazi, which was said to be the large river flowing from the east to the Tanganyika. But none of my men knew the road to the Malagarazi. Neither could guides be hired from Sultan Imrira. We were, however, informed that the Malagarazi was but 2 days' march from Imrira. I thought it safe, in such a case, to provision my men with 3 days' rations. The village of Itaga is situated in a deep mountain hollow, finely overlooking a large extent of cultivation. The people grow sweet potatoes, manioc, out of which tapioca is made, beans, and holocaust. Not one chicken could be purchased for love or money, and besides grain, only a lean, scraggly specimen of a goat, a long time ago imported from Uvinza, was procurable. October the 25th will be remembered by me as a day of great troubles. In fact, a series of troubles began from this date. We struck an easterly road in order to obtain a passage to the lofty plateau which bounded the valley of the Imrira on the west and on the north. We camped, after a 2½ hours' march, at its foot. The defile promised a feasible means of ascent to the summit of the plateau, which rose upward in a series of scarps 1,000 feet above the valley of Imrira. While ascending that lofty arc of mountains which bounded westerly and northerly the basin of Imrira, extensive prospects southward and eastward were revealed. The character of the scenery at Ukawende is always animated and picturesque, but never sublime. The folds of this ridge contain several ruins of bomas, which seem to have been erected during war time. The mbembe fruit was plentiful along this march, and every few minutes I could see from the rear one or two men hastening to secure a treasure of it which they discovered on the ground. A little before reaching the camp I had shot at a leopard, but failed to bring him down as he bounded away. At night the lions roared as at the Mtumba River. A lengthy march under the deep twilight shadows of a great forest, which protected us from the hot sunbeams, brought us, on the next day, to a camp newly constructed by a party of Arabs from Ujiji, who had advanced thus far on their road to Unyanyembe, but, alarmed at the reports of the war between Marumbu and the Arabs, had returned. Our route was along the right bank of the Rugufu, a broad, sluggish stream, well choked with the matete reeds and the papyrus. The tracks in the bois de vache of buffaloes were numerous, and there were several indications of rhinoceros being near. In a deep clump of timber near this river we discovered a colony of bearded and leonine looking monkeys. As we were about leaving our camp on the morning of the 28th, a herd of buffalo walked deliberately into view. Silence was quickly restored, but not before the animals, to their great surprise, had discovered the danger which confronted them. We commenced stalking them, but we soon heard the thundering sound of their gallop, after which it became a useless task to follow them, with a long march in the wilderness before one. The road led on this day over immense sheets of sandstone and iron ore. The water was abominable and scarce, and famine began to stare us in the face. We travelled for 6 hours, and had yet seen no sign of cultivation anywhere. According to my map, we were yet 2 long marches from the Malagarazi, if Captain Burton had correctly laid down the position of the river. According to the natives' account, we should have arrived at the Malagarazi on this day. End of chapter 11, part 1.